Welcome back to Finance Friday, another special edition of Money Girl where I answer your burning money questions. Today's topic comes from Jesse F., who says, I'm 52 and self-employed, and my wife is 51 and works for a hospital. We recently moved from New Mexico to Florida. What do you recommend I do with my 401k from my former employer? Well, thank you for your question, Jesse. Knowing what to do with an old retirement plan from a former employer, whether it's a 401k, 403b, or 457, it can be confusing. But handling that old account wisely is essential for your financial future. So this podcast will answer your question by reviewing the best options for an old retirement account. Welcome back, everyone, and thanks for joining me. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, finance spokesperson, money speaker, founder of the Money Stack newsletter, and host of the Money Girl podcast with 43 million downloads. If you are interested in learning more about investing, my Smart Investing Masterclass is coming up soon. If you are interested in joining and registering for that event that's going to be in August, be sure that you subscribe to the Money Stack newsletter. I'll be sending out more information about that with a link where you can sign up. It's easy to sign up for the Money Stack newsletter and learn more about my books, my debt and credit online money courses, and how to work with me when you visit my website, lauradadams.com. So when we talk about dealing with a retirement plan at work, I always like to make sure to cover the topic of vesting because it really is important when you're making a decision. So before you decide to leave a job, it's essential to understand how your vesting schedule works for your company benefits, like a retirement plan and any stock incentives that you may have. Vesting is a tool that companies use to keep their employees from leaving. So when you have a workplace retirement plan, like a 401k, you own it, plus any vested balance contributed by your employer. So note that contributions from your paycheck, so the money that you put in, that's your money, you are immediately 100% vested in your own money. However, most companies have a vesting schedule for the matching money that they put in and any profit-sharing contributions that they put in. Again, this is a way to keep you employed longer. So being quote-unquote vested means you own some or all of the funds contributed by your employer. Leaving a company before you're vested comes with financial consequences, such as forfeiting employer-provided stock incentives, profit sharing, or contributions to your retirement plan. How long a vesting period lasts varies from company to company, but I'd say a typical vesting schedule is anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Being fully vested means that you get to keep 100% of the benefits. And being partially vested means you get a percentage of them based on a predetermined schedule. So let's talk about those common vesting schedules that you'll probably see, at a typical employer. There are two primary types. They are called graded and cliff. So graded vesting or gradual vesting is the most common because it gives employees benefits gradually over several years. That allows you to own some percentage of benefits even if you leave the company after a year or two. A typical graded vesting schedule occurs over 5 years, like year 1, you're 20% vested. After year 2, you're 40% vested. After 3 years, you're 60% vested. 4 years, 80% vested. And after you've worked a full 5 years, you are 100% vested. So let's say your employer contributed $20,000 to your 401k as a profit-sharing bonus. You would have to remain employed for 5 years to get that full amount. But if you left during the 3rd year, you would get to keep the prior year's vesting because you haven't been there a full 3 years. You would get to keep the vesting of 40%, which is the amount I said you would get after 2 full years of employment. So that would be $8,000, and you would forfeit the remaining $12,000 back to the employer. Now, cliff vesting happens all at once rather than gradually over time. For instance, your employer may require you to stay with a company for 3 full years to become 100% vested. And if you leave before completing those 3 years, you forfeit all your benefits. So if you have questions about your company's vesting schedule, definitely consult your benefits department or a financial advisor who can help evaluate your benefits. You might log into your online retirement account portal, and if you do that, you should see your contributions, you should see your employer's contributions, and it should tell you your vested balance. If the vesting amount equals what your employer has put in, you're fully vested. Now, depending on your situation, it may make sense to leave a job before you're fully vested. For instance, maybe you get a great job offer that's $20,000 higher and your vested benefit is $5,000. So you would come out ahead by taking the new job and having that nice bump in salary that's, much above your vesting benefit. So just be sure to consider the total benefits in your package, things like commuting, future opportunities, and any other factors like other types of benefits that you're going to get before leaping into a new job. So how should you manage a retirement plan once you have left a job? Once an employer is no longer employing you, you have basically 5 ways to manage that money. So we'll go through these 5 options. Number 1 is to cash it out. Now, cashing out a retirement plan after leaving a job is the easiest, maybe the easiest, but it's definitely the worst option. So I do not recommend that Jesse cash out the retirement plan. If you're younger than 59 and a half, emptying your retirement account is considered an early withdrawal. So that means it's subject to a 10% penalty, plus you've got to pay income taxes on amounts not previously taxed. For example, with a traditional retirement plan, you would owe income taxes on the full balance you cash out, except for any non-deductible contributions where you already pay tax on them. With a Roth account, this is where you put in after-tax contributions, you would owe income taxes solely on the growth portion, but not on your original contributions. Let's say your traditional 401k vested balance is $200,000, and your average tax rate is 25%. After you account for the additional 10% early withdrawal penalty, you're going to lose 35% of your retirement funds, leaving you with just $130,000. The other $70,000 is going to go to Uncle Sam. So that's a huge tax hit that most people are not going to want to pay. So again, cashing out is an option, but a bad option. All right, your second option is to leave the funds with your former employer. Most retirement plans allow you to keep money in the account after you're no longer employed. While this is not the worst money move, you do have less flexibility with this than with other options that I'll cover. I would say the main advantage for leaving retirement money in an ex-employer's plan is that it stays invested and it's growing. The downside is that you can't make new contributions to that account because the plan's sponsor no longer employs you. However, you can still manage your balance, such as buying or selling investments inside the account. In addition, you can always open up and contribute to other types of retirement accounts that you qualify for, such as an IRA or a self-employed plan if you have business income. I only recommend keeping money in an old employer's plan if it's a stable company. You trust the HR and the benefits department, and the account charges you relatively low fees. Just be certain that the plan will not charge you higher fees after you're no longer an active employee. Your third option with an old retirement plan is to do an IRA rollover. So a rollover is when you transfer some or all of your balance in a retirement account to another eligible retirement account. And if you do it correctly, there are no taxes or penalties. But in order to avoid taxes and penalties, the accounts have to be tax compatible. So, for instance, if you have a traditional 401k, you would have to put that in a traditional IRA. Or if you have a Roth 403b, you would need to roll that into a Roth IRA. In other words, you can't roll over a pre-tax traditional 401k to an after-tax Roth IRA without paying taxes on the total amount. So the primary benefit of an IRA rollover is having more control over your chosen investments and the financial institution. You also have the flexibility to take IRA withdrawals before age 59 and a half with an IRA. However, taxes and penalties will apply. The critical IRA rollover rule you must follow is to complete it within 60 days. If you miss the deadline and you're younger than 59 and a half, the transaction would be an early withdrawal subject to income tax plus that additional 10% penalty. However, completing a rollover to a tax-compatible account within 60 days means you pay no taxes or penalties. If you need to open a new traditional or Roth IRA, there are many great online investing platforms, and they can even do a direct rollover where those funds get automatically transferred to your new account without you having to handle them. So doing an IRA rollover is generally the best option for an old retirement plan when executed correctly. All right, your fourth option is to roll over your retirement funds to a workplace plan. So let's say you get a new job with a nice retirement plan. Most 401ks and 403bs allow a rollover from a former employer's plan. So check with your benefits administrator about what's possible. And just like an IRA rollover, you must complete a workplace plan transfer within 60 days to avoid income tax and a penalty. Doing a workplace-to-workplace rollover or transfer may be a good option when you want to consolidate retirement funds into one account. It could make managing and tracking your investments easier. Another benefit of having funds in an employer-sponsored retirement plan is that you can take penalty-free withdrawals as soon as 55 if you want to retire early. That's not an option with an IRA because you do have to wait until age 59 and a half to withdraw funds penalty-free. Additionally, some workplace plans allow you to borrow money from yourself and repay it with interest over 5 years, and that's not permitted with any type of IRA. All right, our last option for that old retirement plan is to roll over your retirement funds to a self-employed retirement plan. Jesse mentioned being self-employed, and that gives him more retirement options to consider. If you have income from a part-time or a full-time business, you can move funds into a tax-compatible retirement plan for the self-employed. For instance, you could transfer funds from a traditional 401k to a traditional solo 401k or to a traditional SEP IRA. Or you can transfer your old 401k to a rollover IRA and contribute up to the annual limit to a self-employed retirement plan. Remember, there's no limit to the number of retirement accounts that you can own. So if you just want to move that money from the old employer into an IRA, that's great. And then you can let that sit, but also contribute as much as possible to a self-employed retirement plan. And your self-employed account options will depend on whether you have employees in your business or whether you plan to have them in the future. There are many investing platforms that offer small business plans, so you can do a little shopping online and see, which type of plan would work for you, Jesse. To sum up, the best place for Jesse to relocate his retirement funds with his old employer depends on the quality of the old retirement plan, and the flexibility that you want going forward. Most retirement account owners do choose an IRA rollover because it gives them more control over their funds. And if you leave another job in the future that has a workplace retirement plan, you can do a rollover to the very same IRA if you wish. You could also do it to a separate IRA, but it might make sense just to consolidate everything in the same IRA. The bottom line is that your goal should be to keep that retirement money where it can grow using low-cost, diversified investment options. And if you have any questions about the process, you want to contact your old retirement plan's custodian. They can really help you and walk you through the process to ensure you follow the rules, and they will help you avoid paying any taxes and penalties on your retirement funds. Jesse, thanks again for your great question. I hope it's been helpful. I want to remind you, this is episode number 844, which means there is so much more Money Girl for you to explore in previous episodes. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and the Money Girl Facebook page. If you have a question you'd like me to cover, you can leave it on my voicemail line at 302-364-0308. You can also send me an email using my contact page at lauradadams.com. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and I want to thank our fantastic team. It's audio engineered by Steve Rickyberg. Our director of podcasts is Brandon Gachus. Our digital operations specialist is Holly Hutchins. Our advertising operations specialist is Morgan Christensen. And our marketing and publicity associate is Davina Tomlin.